Taiwan is, by many accounts, the most democratic place in all of Asia. But yet, we're acutely aware that if tension arises, if tension escalates, we can lose our democracy just with a couple missiles. This awareness that everything can be reset tomorrow, and this strength and resilience coexist in Taiwanese democracy. And this is something that I also feel in my own body. One of my first memories is of my heart beating quickly and then fainting. It all turns to black. I was born with a heart defect. If my heartbeat increases above a certain level, I have a 50-50 chance of surviving. I could die. I remember going to sleep, just thinking, okay, it's like a coin flip. If it comes up tails, then maybe I don't wake up the next day. As a child, I was very curious. I bombarded my parents, aunts and uncle, grandparents with questions. What are ozones? How can we know it's going thinner if we cannot see it? What are solar flares? What happens to Earth when the sun dies out? Are there particles faster than light?
长大了，而且他很小的时候，因为他很聪明，所以他很快就会念书了。
我就知道这个状况，我就故意去买很多自然科学跟数学书摆到书架上。那我还没有看他全看呢。
那我们家先生是政治专栏的记者，当过首席党政。那我先生是学政治的，我是学法律的。
My parents were political journalists. I was raised among Tiananmen exiles. In our living room, sometime my dad will invite the very young people, undergrad level students, who were exiles from the Tiananmen movement, to talk about the future of democracy. Because of the diversity of my caretakers, I would easily get 5 or 6 very different perspectives within my family. And they're all honest, with so many different perspectives on any simple question. This instilled in me this idea of pluralism. Nothing can be simply reduced to just 1 or 2 truisms.
他就这样长大，很快乐的长大。然后到他上学，因为他那时候很小嘛，他很脆弱呀。后来知道学校有霸凌，我每天看他痛苦。那个学校是会体罚的学校啊，对，体罚是一个很可怕的暴力行为啊。这样子的好老师，其一的教学，其一的教法，竞争性的家长的观念，或者是孩子充满比较心的对待，
When I was 8 years old, I transferred into this class of gifted children. I consistently scored top of the class, and the second of the class said to me, if you just die, then I would be top of the class. I got beaten up repeatedly. They would just push me down. That became almost a daily routine. And so I said to my mom, there's something wrong here, right? Either I'm wrong or something is wrong with the world.
我记得有一天，我帮他洗澡，然后他身上很大的一块乌青，然后他跟我说：“妈妈，你还要我继续去上学吗？你真的还要我去上学吗？”那个时候我很害怕他真的会去死掉。我跟他讲说：“你还很小，你现在还小到你不知道你以后可以有多少的力量来改变这个世界。我们回家吧，我们自己学。”所以我那个时候就想，我必须把他救回来，所以我把世界推出去。那时候台湾刚刚开始在推广电脑。
I really, really wanted a personal computer that I can practice programming on. So I asked my mom, please give me a computer.
我就跟他讲不要，小孩子玩什么电玩，然后后来是我不小心啊，有一天我看到他正在那个地方，就把一个键盘画在一个纸上，然后打一个 delete， 然后就拿一个橡皮擦，嘟把它擦掉。
I've always loved mathematics, the ability to see similarities in very different systems. I saw calculators and eventually computers as the very beginning of a new world.
他说这是属于未来科技新的资讯时代会来临，然后所以我就给他买了电脑。
President Chiang Ching-kuo proclaimed that martial law in Taiwan has ended after 38 years. Since 1949, when martial law was imposed, security agencies could arrest almost anyone at will, with lengthy beatings and torture occurring frequently. It is estimated that over the past 4 decades, between 22,000 and 32,000 civilians were executed. While the Ministry of Defense announced the release of 23 prisoners, several prominent opposition leaders remain jailed. Pro-democracy activists are urging Taiwanese citizens not to be content with cosmetic changes and to keep pushing for lasting change.
After 4 decades of the martial law, the restrictions around speech, journalism, forming parties got lifted. It was felt in my household and around Taiwan as an era of infinite possibilities. Nothing other than the party line were permitted, and then suddenly everything is permitted. The World Wide Web showed the future where the neighbors are configured according to shared values instead of just geographic coincidences. When I was 14, I thought there's this great unknown, this great urgency of how internet is coming and nobody is prepared to face that transformation. Democracy is coming to Taiwan. Let's prepare ourselves. Let's slow down. Let's get ready for it. It's almost like this breaking out of the cocoon moment. I need to isolate myself, to retreat into a place without computers, without electricity, and figure out what I really am. So I told my mom that I need some time alone.
然后我们就讨论了一下，然后呢，我就跟他说：“那这样我帮你借个地方。”
I didn't know how many days I needed. I lost track of time. I remember visualizing this gap between the traditional societal values and the new technology that are emerging, and see this not as a chasm or as a cliff, but just as an invitation, a crack in everything where light can get in.
接回来之后，它就变得非常的柔软。真的非常柔软，非常女性化。
After the cabinet, I refused to let gender stereotypes define me. I'm a pluralist. By pluralist, I mean that I'm non-binary, and this taking all the sides is also part of what I am. Around turn of century, in Taiwan, internet and democracy are not two things. Instead of some people practicing tech and some people practicing politics, it's the same generation of people. My friend Xiao Gao and I started organizing weekly gatherings. With Xiao Gao, with Freddie Lim, with many civic hackers of the world, we're envisioning a society that is more transparent, more inclusive, more fair. The initial project was GovZero. It's a play of words on GOV.TW, which is Taiwan government. So for each governmental function, one can very easily, just changing a letter to a digit, go to a shadow version of that website. The initial project of GovZero started as a response to all the Taiwanese government budget that was not transparent enough. There was no easy way for people to understand the budget. We created cutting-edge visualization and interactive charts to make the state transparent to its people.
一开始的时候，这个 G0V 要推动开放政府跟开放资料的时候，这个政府里面的公务员当然是会抗拒嘛。
I was teleworking at the time when I read the call to get live streaming support. And I typed to my colleague, I have to leave now, democracy needs me. I brought a very long cable for internet connection. I live streamed through Twitter to convey the sense of nonviolence, of our commitment to resolve this peacefully. They went on well into the night, and then the students started breaking in.
I 我在电视上飞，我看着爬进去，我的办公室就在他们进去的旁边。就是1个礼拜前，我还在跟他们谈怎么样的这个合作，但是所以非常复杂的心情。
Our live streaming would prove to be very important because the next day, many mainstream media tried to portray the students as violent gangsters.
我这里有勇敢的人民，比如来 山林，我们这里有无穷的森林。
That live streaming account was powerful. For the first time, people can see through each other's eyes on the street, instead of just a few broadcasters mounting their camera in very predictable points.
这个事情让当时政府里面他们 realize 他必须要接受一些新的科技跟新的这个沟通的方式，所以的政府是选择 compromise。他们整个 G0V 的 community 啊，有一个 slogan 我很喜欢，用键盘救国。
It is possible for democracy to evolve. It is possible to come up with novel policies simply by asking the people, what should we do together?
太阳花学运之后，前面的政府他们就想推动那个开放政府，那就邀请那个Audrey 成为就是数位政委。
The Ministry of Digital Affairs, helmed by Audrey Tong, has been focused on fighting cyber warfare, and this year, Taiwan is at a record low of election polarization.
台湾一直面临很强大的威胁嘛，一个集权的政权的威胁。那种脆弱，可能明天可能就我们的民主就不见了。我讲了，我们当然就要意识到这种危险，意识到这个脆弱啊。
The stakes for 2024's Democratic contests will be enormous, not just for the countries going to the polls, but for the world as a whole.
Around half the world's population, 4 billion people, are holding elections this year. These polls will decide who governs over 70 countries.
How is the 2024 democracy test going? The short answer, not particularly well.
Bangladesh's democracy is at a perilous moment.
Senegal President Macky Sall abruptly cancelled the national election vote, alleging corruption.
The elections in Russia took place without a single influential competitor to Putin.
Almost everyone agrees that democracy is declining in the 11 countries of Southeast Asia.
There are over 161 million people registered to vote in the United States. Americans will go to the polls on November 5th, 2024.
If I do not practice this calmness, then maybe I'll die. This coexistence of a strong and resilient body and a mind that is acutely aware of the extinction risks reminds me of Taiwanese democracy. We can lose our democracy, but we have the ability to be resilient. Every time the sun sets, I feel this urgency that I may just disappear in the night, into the night. There is a coin flip in me somewhere that says you must publish before you go to sleep. I insist on relinquishing copyright because to me, if I disappear tomorrow, the future generations can make use of the materials that I have. I want to be a good enough ancestor for future generations.
And what happens, Audrey, if you go to sleep tonight and you don't wake up tomorrow morning?
Well, then I will be very satisfied if you can just upload all this to the cloud so that future creators can remix from the story as part of the materials and free the future together.
And where will you be? You die, where are you going?
Well, in the cloud, right? You agreed to upload it to the cloud.